it's important to note that this was all meant. It was a debate within the House Judiciary Committee meant to discuss and talk about what needs to be included in legislation to reform policing in the United States. Matt Gaetz and other conservatives want amendments that would lead to investigations of Antifa, even though there has been no evidence whatsoever that Antifa is involved in these protests or in any violence associated with the protests. In fact, there have been right-wing organizations like the Boogaloo Boys who have carried out acts of violence, including murdering a federal officer. But I want to play this video because I think it's so powerful, and it's also a giant eye roll moment for Matt Gaetz. Take a look.
I'm not interested in studying Antifa. I'm not even interested in studying the Klan or sovereign citizens right now, because that is not the imminent threat that black men face on a daily basis. And right now, too often, it is law enforcement, those who were sworn to protect and to serve. And so all we're asking today is to deal with that. I want it to be crystal clear, and I will give you the benefit of the doubt that it is an unconscious bias that I'm hearing, because at worst it's conscious bias, and that I would hate to assume from any of the people on the other side. Well, the gentleman yield. Sure. I appreciate your passion. Are you suggesting that you're certain that none of us have non-white children? Because you reflected on your black son and you said none of us could understand. Matt, stop. I'm not about to get sidetracked about the color of our children. We're talking about black kids. I reclaimed my time. You said that I reclaimed my time. I know. The discussion. I know the gentleman reclaimed his time. I said I reclaimed my time. I already know that there are people on the other side that have black grandchildren. It is not about the color of your kids. It is about black males, black people in the streets that are getting killed. And if one of them happens to be your kid, I'm concerned about him too. And clearly I'm more concerned about him than you are. So let's be clear about that. You're claiming you're concerned for my family that I do? Who in the hell do you are? Gentlemen, if the shoe fits. You don't know how much we gentlemen will suspend his dog holler. You should take those words down. I'm gentlemen about your family and love your family. The gentleman will suspend. The time belongs to the gentleman from Louis. He's calling this same kid a student, not his son, but a student 4 years ago. So wait, was he a rando student or was he your son? And when exactly, he came at 12, when exactly did you adopt him? Before his 29th birthday or after his 29th birthday? Now, look, I know that he's theoretically 19, and I guess he adopted him at some point. He's not married. I mean, it is...
It's a big lizard, so I just cut it in half.
His sister has put up a bunch of pictures of this kid with the family, and so, but between him and Laura Ingraham, they look like they're using human props for political reasons.
And that's the problem. So if he truly adopted this guy and they have a loving, close relationship, all the power to them. Like, that's not where the criticism is coming from. The criticism is using people as props, which is what it feels like happened during this exchange. And I also want to just read a tweet that I shared by Tia Mitchell. She's a reporter, and she tweeted the following. I first heard of Nestor when I wrote an article in 2015 about Gaetz. He had ridiculed black lawmakers and was accused of racism. A GOP operative called and said Gaetz was hurt partially because his girlfriend and her son were people of color.
Thanks for watching The Untruths. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.
I actually fed both of these guys some pinkies last week because they were strictly lizard eaters, but their food response was getting real heavy. They'll just attack whatever I throw in the cage, so I just tried a pinky, and they both ate it. both is this girl and her twin sister. That's what I'm referring to. So, but I got a whole bunch of lizards still as feeders, so I just gave it to her. And like I said before, I'm not planning on selling these girls, so I don't mind if they still eat lizards or whatever.
Activists leading a march, nearly 30,000 people, all dressed in white, in honor of Black trans lives that represented unity in the fight for equality, for justice, for two deeply marginalized groups in New York City. Yes, from Brooklyn to Europe.
Just upgraded some tubs last week with some snakes these size, so I'll be upgrading a couple more this next upcoming week. So she'll be going to what is it, a 28 quart tub? It's about that time for her. To tell the truth, I'm surprised she's even eating this mouse. Her and well, I actually have a pair of these. Her and the male I have, they they was refusing mice for a little bit. They just was eating chicks I had, baby chicks. Yeah, I literally put a mouse in there, and they wouldn't take it. And I'll wiggle a baby chick right in front of them, and they'll snatch it right up. And I did that for a couple weeks. I just tried the mouse, and I guess, well, she at least took it. See if the male will take it as well. It's a coral snow corn snake. It's about a yearling or something like that. Strange things are happening.
Down the coronavirus threat. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please. They test and they test. Defends his record. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. And blames protesters for the smaller than expected crowd. The unhinged left-wing mob is trying to vandalize our history, desecrate our monuments, our beautiful... Experts fear last night's rally could become a super spreader event. My guest this morning, Acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf and infectious disease specialist Dr. Michael Osterholm. Plus John Bolton's revenge. The former National Security Advisor describes President Trump as ignorant, obsessed with his re-election, and mocked by his cabinet.
I don't think he's fit for office. I don't think he has the competence to carry out the job.
Democrats, meanwhile, angry that Bolton refused to speak up during impeachment. I'll talk to the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff. Also, President Trump fires a top federal prosecutor who has investigated several of the president's close allies. What's the real story behind the fire? Joining me for insight and analysis are NBC News correspondent Carol Lee, Republican strategist Al Cardenas, and Yamiche Alcindor, White House correspondent for PBS NewsHour. Welcome to Sunday. It's Meet the Press.
From NBC News in Washington, the longest running show in television history. This is Meet the Press with Chuck Todd.
Good Sunday morning and a happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Presidential politics, demonstrations, and a partisan pandemic all came together last night in Tulsa, Oklahoma. President Trump has refused to wear a mask, and his supporters have followed suit, dismissing mask wearing as some liberal virtue signaling and somehow as nothing more than signaling opposition to the president. Last night, a president frustrated by a virus that has kept him off the campaign trail finally got to do what he loves best about his job: thrill an adoring crowd of loyal supporters. Though the crowd was much smaller than anticipated and plans for an overflow area were scrapped. He did it in a Tulsa arena with mostly non-mask wearing partisans. This, as experts fear the indoor rally could be a super spreader event. This, as the United States, and Tulsa specifically, are all seeing spikes in COVID-19 cases. This, as we're still experiencing a 9/11-like loss of life every 4 to 5 days. The rally came at the end of a rough week for the president, sinking poll numbers, the John Bolton book, 2 Supreme Court decisions that didn't go his way, all on top of swiftly changing public attitudes that have put Mr. Trump on the wrong side.
This is Leonis King Snake or Variable King Snake.
Hundreds of thousands of lives. We don't ever get even a mention. President Trump had his first campaign rally since the pandemic began. When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people, you're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
No, wrong move. Old-fashioned bandages get dirty. They can let water and germs. Look, it's falling off.
Please. With 26 states recording at least a 20% spike in new coronavirus cases over the last 2 weeks, Oklahoma among them, the president went maskless, mocking COVID-19 with racist language. I can name Kung Flu, insisting on the rally despite warnings from his own coronavirus task force.
I will take a chance that I get that virus, but I'm not going to get that.
President Trump spent nearly 2 hours on the attack. The unhinged left-wing mob is trying to vandalize our history, desecrate our monuments, our beautiful monuments, and blame protesters and the media for the smaller than expected crowd. The president is facing a handful of new polls that show him trailing Joe Biden substantially, including a Fox News poll where he's down by 12 points. And the rally caps a week where the president suffered a series of setbacks. There's the rollout of former National Security Advisor John Bolton's new book.
I don't think he's fit for office. I don't think he has the competence to carry out the job. There really isn't any guiding principle that I was able to discern other than what's good for Donald Trump's re-election.
The president called the Bolton book a compilation of lies and made-up stories, then insisted it is full of classified information.
You should go to jail for that for many, many years.
Mr. Bolton is the fourth top former administration official to question the president's fitness for office. This was intended to derail anything, and it may at the end of the day simply be that the president and the attorney general wanted somebody that they liked better and knew better in that job. Still, it's a bit odd for someone to say, I'd like to take a position that somebody else already has. And at the end of the day, who knows whether this is going to work, because the Republican chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Lindsey Graham, has signaled that he won't go ahead with the nomination unless New York's two Democratic senators approve of it, and they both say they don't. Pete Williams, really appreciate you trying to make some sense out of what was a chaotic 48 hours for what is also known as the Sovereign District of New York. Pete, thanks very much. You bet. And joining me now is the Acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf. Secretary Wolf, welcome to Meet the Press, and a happy Father's Day, sir.
Great, thank you.
I want to just start big picture here. Here we are in June. There's been over 8 million confirmed cases of the virus around the globe, and the United States accounts for just over 25% of all confirmed cases, leading the globe, unfortunately, in that statistic. How did we find ourselves in that precarious situation?
Well, I think what we saw early on in January and February is a virus that came to the U.S. We saw China not being very clear, not being upfront about what they were seeing early on. We took a number of dramatic steps the president did in limiting the spread or the seeding of that virus here in the U.S. And what we've seen since then is a White House coronavirus task force working day and night to make sure that we have the resources, the testing, the PPE, as well as the guidance to state and local, to governors, to make sure that we can open up this economy in a safe and reasonable way. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a number of states throughout the country in different phases, from phase 1 to phase 3, trying to get this economy, trying to get the country back up and running, and we're doing a great job at that.
Why do you, is this what is considered a good job at this point? I mean, I say this, other countries in Europe have been able to flatten their curves, and we have not. If anything, we're on the rise, and I know we're doing more testing, but I want to show you these statistics right now, very troubling in the South. Just three states to show you here where, yes, testing is up 30 to 40%, but the positive case percentage is up in Florida, 88%, in Texas, 77%, Oklahoma, 94%. We're in the midst of a spike. Is there anything we could be doing now to basically bend this curve that we're not doing?
Well, again, the coronavirus task force has put out that guidance, has put out, CDC has put out a number of things that states can continue to do in their various phases. And I think we're seeing that, from social distancing to, again, the face coverings and everything in between. And I think it's important when you talk about testing. We've tested over 25 million folks. We tested more than any other country. And we're logically going to see a number of cases positive over what we see in other countries. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. But again, we're supporting, this is a state-led reopening. We're supporting that through our medical professionals at HHS and CDC, making sure that our state and local officials have all the resources and all the knowledge that they need to open up in a safe manner.
It looks as if, though, that which we've yet to be able to do, I think.
Well, what we know is we have a lot of individuals continuing to work hard at therapeutics and vaccines, and so that's really the end goal. We have HHS and their medical professionals, and CDC, the NIH, and others really looking for those therapeutics and vaccines. And I think as we look towards the fall and the end of the calendar year, that's where we hope to be. We'll continue to push that while we also continue to do that social distancing, face coverings, and some of the everyday practices that we encourage all Americans to do.
ICE, which is under your, obviously under DHS, has an estimated 24,000 people right now detained. How are you handling the virus among those detained? And are you deporting people who test positive, or are you waiting until they test negative before you deport them?
Right. So as you indicated, we're doing everything within our power to make sure that those repatriations are safe, they're secure, and we're communicating very robustly with that foreign government, letting them know everything that we're doing as we send their nationals back to them.
I want to ask quickly on DACA and the deferred action on those folks brought in to this country as children by their parents. The president described the decision. The paperwork. Let me ask the question this way: for somebody that is participating in the DACA program, how concerned should they be that they might be asked to leave the country in the next 2 years?
Well, Chuck, what we know is the program is clearly unlawful, and I would say I point you back to the Supreme Court decision. At no point in that decision did they say that the program was lawful.
Iran took this one to heart.
The rationale and the procedures that we use, and I find that a little troubling. What we know is the Obama
I don't
administration
want to disturb them too much. You might
drop
drop it.
why they didn't put this out for public comment and
There we
notice.
go.
Such a large decision in a program. Really, the American people needed to have some comment into that. What we've seen from this administration is we take a very logical approach to winding this down over a 6-month period, been very clear about that. And so we find ourselves where we're at today. The president's been very clear. We need to find a solution for this population. And we'll continue to look at that. We'll continue to look at the opinion that the court produced this week, making sure that we adhere to that. But we are going to end an unlawful program. As the acting Secretary of Homeland Security, I don't have the luxury to ignore the law. The program's unlawful. We need to solve it. The president's begging Congress has been for the last 2.5 years to solve this problem. We're willing to sit down at the table and negotiate with them.
So are you going to solve this administratively and follow sort of what the Supreme Court seemed to lay out about how you need to give more time and all of this, or does that mean the president has ruled out just ending this by executive order, which is another way he could have done it, he just chose not to?
Yeah, I think we'll continue to encourage Congress to come to the table and find a solution for this population. The president's been very clear about that over 3.5 years. But at the same time, he's also directed the Department of Homeland Security to look at that opinion, look at the rationale, and look what the court has asked us to do. And that's what we're doing today. I'm not going to get ahead in front of the president. He's going to make that decision at the right time, but the department will be ready to make that call.
All right, Acting Secretary Chad Wolf of the Department of Homeland Security. I appreciate you coming on and sharing the administration's view.
Great,
and again,
thank you.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
President Trump's Tulsa rally came one day after the United States recorded the most new cases of COVID-19 since May 3rd. And at a point when, according to Johns Hopkins University, the U.S. is doing a far worse job of controlling this pandemic than the European Union is doing, basically similar size, if you will. Look at that graph. Joining me now is infectious disease expert Michael Osterholm from the University of Minnesota. Dr. Osterholm, welcome back to Meet the Press. I want to start with the same question I asked Secretary Wolf, which is, how do you explain the fact that the United States has 25% of the globe's cases, and it's basically, we're sadly number one with a rocket ship?
Well, first of all, good morning and happy Father's Day to you, Chuck. This is a real challenge for us. And thank you. And at this point, we don't really have a national plan that really puts together what we're trying to do. We have 50 different states, the District of Columbia, the territories, all kind of with their own plan. And you've seen in the past week how disjointed that is. What are we trying to do? We're at 70% of the number of cases today. We're at the very height of the pandemic cases.
Concrete jungle snakes.
And yet I don't see any kind of this is where we need to go, this is what we need to do to get there kind of effort. And that's one of our challenges.
This is actually a hybrid snake. This is Honduran milk snake, California king snake cross.
Well, we have to understand that, as I've said to you on multiple occasions, we're not driving this tiger, we're riding it. And while other areas have done much better around the world at stopping it after a very difficult period of time with it, we haven't done that. And part of that is the fact that we just have not really, I think, gotten the message across to the public yet that this is a very serious issue, that we can't shut down. Countries have been much more aware of the fact that the virus is going to do what it's going to do, and so you have to basically stay locked down.
The whole feed and all that stuff.
Transmission in areas that we're not doing, and that's what I think you're seeing right now is increases in a number of states because everybody's back to a pre-pandemic mindset.
And basically, without sort of a national structure here, if we let
actually, I might as well. He's almost done. This is a smaller size one. So. You
But we
take
do
that
have to
down real
allow
quick.
for local decisions, meaning that, in some cases it's going to be different in rural America in one area versus urban America in another area. But at the same time, what is our goal? To hear the fact that we don't want to do testing is wrong. Absolutely, we should be testing as much as possible. Second of all, once we do have these positive tests, what are we doing to make sure that additional transmission isn't occurring? How do we do contact tracing? You've heard a number of stories in the past week about some of the failures of contact tracing. Well, we should learn from those. What are we doing to improve upon it? And I think that right now we don't have, even at a local level necessarily, the kind of plans to say, this is what we're going to do to get shut down transmission over this period of time. And we need much more clarity that way.
Concrete
It's
Jungle
almost in
Snakes,
some
over
ways
and out.
seems random.